what is the word that matches the image? I want to share with you what my daughter Adeline chose. Adeline chose art, and as her parent, I thought that was awesome, but this is an incorrect answer according to the testing guide. The correct answer is mud. How can something so nebulous be so concrete? Actually, I think this quiz is a fitting analogy for the problem in art education today. Art education has been impacted by the standards and testing culture. We've been focusing on teaching things that are concrete. In essence, we're teaching things that we can test and assess. But I believe art education needs to focus on developing learners that think like artists, learners that are creative, curious, seek questions, develop ideas, and play, which means we need to be much more intentional about how we communicate art's critical value and how we teach for creativity. We also know that creativity scores in this country are on the decline. The Torrance Creativity Test, which has been administered for decades, has now shown since the 1990s a decline, especially in the ages 6 to 12 in the United States. The number one thing quality art education can do is develop the capacity to think creatively and the capacity to make connections. So then why is there such a disconnect between creativity and art education? I think I hear almost daily, "Oh, Cindy, I really support art education. It is very important." I mean, I'm not creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I can't even draw a stick figure. The more society pushes them out and society continues to foster these cliched notions of what is creativity, the harder it is for those in the field like me to begin moving towards teaching for creativity. I believe teaching for creativity is embodying the habits that artists employ. Habits, in particular, there are three that I think are essential to creativity. They are 1, comfort with ambiguity, 2, idea generation, and 3, transdisciplinary research. Students struggle with ambiguity because we all do. Artists, on the other hand, realize that ambiguity is part of the process. They take it, they identify it, and they tackle it head on. Can't you imagine if art education was a place where we knew students could go to prepare for lives of not knowing? I work at the Columbus Museum of Art, and for years now, we provided the kind of art education that our community requested. So for example, when we had an exhibition of the work of Claude Monet, we talked about his history. We allowed folks to experiment with his materials and his process. And then we finally would create lesson plans and allow others to do the same. In essence, what we were doing was generating content and allowing folks to make mini Monets. But then it dawned on us, we weren't actually engaging them in what made Monet Monet. And that was the way he thought. Monet's ideas were revolutionary. He questioned the natural world, the way we see. He questioned the politics of the time, and that's what made his work so exceptional. It was at this moment we realized we needed to be teaching for idea generation. Creativity is the bucket of Legos and the potential for ideas within. But in much of education, the master builders are the educators. They're the ones who have ideas, great lesson plans, right? But students are secondary to that process. Students are often more of the artist assistant, or sometimes even just the factory worker getting the project done. Visualize a classroom full of master builders at play. Yes, play. Play is a surefire way to kickstart ideation. Artists play. What I can tell you about artists is that they're voracious researchers. They will research anything, bizarre things. Imagine if the future of education was not about discrete disciplines, but rather was about disciplines like math, art, and science being in service to ideas. What kind of spaces might we create in order to foster that type of thinking? I don't want you for a minute to stop championing art education, but today I want that battle cry to address art's critical value. Don't kill the ideas. I want my own children to think like artists no matter what career path they may choose. I believe art education is essential for 21st century learning.
Education is the ultimate idea worth spreading. That's why we've launched Innovate TED, a program that helps educators develop their brightest ideas and share them with the world. Learn more at ed.ted.com/edtalks. Join the movement to amplify educator voices.